Hello, my name is Caleb Bader, and this is Journey of the Unshackled Mind on the Voluntary Virtues Network. Today I'd like to do something a little different and just discuss something that's been on my mind. On being political. I entered the realm of libertarian philosophy, as many people do, I presume. Like a lifelong drunk, escaping the fogginess of constant inebriation into the freedom of sobriety, I stumbled along into a clear way of thinking. My recovery from the intoxicating poison of statist ideology was a slow and painful process. And at the beginning I had very little with which to combat the disease. I began with no concept of any way for mankind to live outside of the statist paradigm that I had known my entire life. I had read Thoreau, Jefferson, and Orwell, and had developed a strong distrust of government and authority in general through many life experiences. But the thought never really crossed my mind that there could be such a thing as a stateless society. Up until this point in my life, I had been a proud, flag-waving patriot. And other than some qualms I had over specific laws and the police state, I believed the United States to be the greatest nation on earth. Just speaking those words now makes me cringe. But as a young American boy, I saw no higher calling than to defend such a wonderful nation from foreign enemies whose whole existence was based upon destroying it. So at the age of 17, I enthusiastically contracted myself to the U.S. military. From a young age, I had looked up to the shining example of the great American heroes who had risked life and limb to protect the homeland. I saw them as selfless defenders of liberty, and I was fascinated by their exploits, weapons, and tactics. I treated all of my G.I. Joes with the utmost respect, and I never let their tiny flags touch the ground. The events of September 11th, 2001, further nudged me in the direction of military service. And at the age of 12, I joined a youth group called Young Marines. My younger and smarter brother thought the group was a stupid waste of time, but I was fully entranced. The whole rough yet disciplined Spartan culture really appealed to me. From the push-up contests to the drill movements to reading military history, I felt like I had found the place where I belonged. I knew the Marine Corps environment was one that I would thrive in, and I felt like it would be the most rewarding service I could provide with my abilities. In a way, I had already dedicated myself to the military service years before I could actually sign the contract. The signature just ended my wait. Soon my dream of earning the title of U.S. Marine would be realized. I became one of the few and the proud. Towards the end of Marine Corps boot camp, there is a rigorous 54-hour field training exercise known as the Crucible. It ends with a long hike in full gear to the top of a mountain called the Reaper. Once the recruits have struggled their way to the top and fallen into formation, the flag is raised and the Marine Corps hymn is sung. At this point, there is a ceremony held. The drill instructors solemnly and respectfully go one by one through the formation, shaking each new Marine's hand and welcoming him into the brotherhood. As the drill instructors pass through, they give each new Marine an eagle, globe, and anchor to represent that at this moment they have earned the title of U.S. Marine. It is the one point in Marine Corps boot camp in which it is considered okay to cry, and many Marines do. I didn't cry though. I just stood there on that mountaintop gazing out into the landscape ahead of me. This moment was the culmination of years of eagerness and months of excruciating challenges, pain, and sheer misery. I had expected to shed a tear, or smile even, but I just stood still, showing no emotion, while I considered the breeze on my face, the emptiness in my stomach, and the complexities of entering a new stage of life. It was what I call an eye of the storm moment, when the whirlwind of thoughts in my head is so active that it is hardly possible to focus on just one, and somehow, out of the chaos emerges a sense of calm and a recognition of the unknown. As my favorite drill instructor placed the EGA pin in my hand, I knew that my life had changed. This was my world now. Almost 2 years later, in the dusty heat of an Afghanistan summer, that world came crashing down. The world of selfless heroism, proud tradition, and exceptional fortitude had met with the reality of burnt corpses, mangled children, and the boring, monotonous, and demeaning nature of government servitude. I questioned our presence in the country more and more with each egregious reality of war I witnessed, and I became critical of my own past treatment of Afghanis. I realized that my nationalist thought process had allowed me to do things that I knew were wrong. My us versus them mindset had clouded my judgment, and I had been willing to kill someone I didn't know, simply because I was born in a certain geographical location. I realized that I had no idea why we were fighting in Afghanistan. I knew that the war started in response to 9/11. After all, that was the main reason I joined the Corps. But that was almost 10 years before my deployment. I came to the conclusion that only a fool fights a war he doesn't understand. I embarked on a journey of self-education, soon realizing that I had been lied to and indoctrinated my entire life. It was in this period of enlightenment that I began to repair my relationship with God, develop a firm sense of morality, and ponder the beautiful simplicity of individual liberty. I call it a period of enlightenment because once I could see that I had been lied to, I couldn't stop searching for truth. I was hooked. With each truth I discovered, I became more passionate about liberty and more disillusioned with my military servitude. The internet had made available a vast wealth of knowledge, and I learned more each day. At some point along this journey, there was a change. At some point along that journey, there was a change. One of those changes that is hardly noticed, but has a powerful impact on a person's life. My focus had shifted from hatred of the state to a love of liberty and peace. At the beginning, my hatred grew with every bit of dirty truth I uncovered. I was focused on what was wrong instead of what was right. Really, I had always had a love of liberty and peace, but I never understood those things clearly. Now I did. I began using social media as a tool, both to learn and to share knowledge. The information started flooding over me in waves too big to manage all at once. There was so much that I was learning and benefiting from. I wanted everyone I knew to be a part of this transformation. I wanted them to transform with me. I wanted to make sure that the people I cared about would not fall victim to the same propaganda I had offered my life for. The things I was writing about and the information I was sharing were beautiful to me. I saw the pure and simple truth of the non-aggression principle. I wondered at the amazing and boundless possibilities of the free market. And I realized the beautiful nature of anarchy. How could anyone learn what I had been learning and not be passionately driven in the pursuit of individual liberty? In my mind, I was doing a valuable service to the people I knew, and I was sure they would be interested in what I shared. But practically nobody was interested. They tuned me out, and I didn't understand it. I began to think that people in general just didn't care. That as long as they had a mall to shop and a television to watch, they were happy with the present evil system. But these were people that I knew. I knew that they really did care about peace and freedom, and that they wanted a good life for their families, and that they wouldn't hurt a non-aggressor themselves. Many of them were also intelligent lovers of truth and wisdom. So, why was it that nobody seemed to care? Not only did they not seem to care, but they seemed to be avoiding me like the plague. The Facebook posts got less and less frequent until they almost completely came to a halt. They weren't doing much good, so I decided it was time to reallocate my time to things more profitable. I would still jump at any opportunity to discuss libertarian philosophy, Austrian economics, or history with anyone, but I became less vocal. In a conversation with someone very close to me, I found an answer to what I didn't understand. She said, "I'm just not into all that political stuff like you are." Honestly, I was hurt. She didn't realize it, but those words pierced through to the core of me. I have never in my life been into political stuff. The political system is the thing that I am against. The thing I had been so passionately fighting. I have learned a lot about the political system in my efforts to destroy its ideology. But politics is not some sort of hobby for me. When I'm discussing human liberty, it's with a heart to help people, to make my family's lives and the lives of all other families better. I see all the needless and senseless pain in the world, and I want to help the poor and oppressed. But people don't see that. The majority of people that I know personally don't care at all about politics. To them, political discussion is unpleasant conversation. They see politics as a dirty game, and they know they're getting screwed, but they also see the state as an inevitable fact of human life. All things political are excruciatingly boring and intrinsically corrupt, to them and to me as well. But I don't see the state as an inevitable fact of human life. In my experience, the average person just tries to live a good life despite the state. They don't pay much attention to the government until it affects their lives in an obvious way. They'll say $100 ticket for a minor infraction on the road, whatever, 5 mile an hour over the speed limit. They'll complain about that. Or when tax time comes, or when their house gets broken into and the cops don't do anything to help them, when they see police brutality. But then the thought soon leaves, and they go back to life not thinking about the state. And I think this is great, that people can just live without thinking about this giant leviathan that's looming over them. I think that's wonderful. I'm sure people live much happier lives when they're able to do that. And I do my best to do that, to not think about the state in my personal life, to just avoid it, to get around it. That's why I love the ideas of agorism, shopping in gray markets and black markets, doing under-the-table work, barter, because I want to get away from the state. But I know it's there. I can't pretend that it's not there. I've seen way too much of it. Way too much of the dirty truth of what the state really is. And I've been a part of it. I can't turn my back on that. I can't just pretend that it's not there. I can live a good life despite it. But see, the majority of people I know are apolitical. They don't want to be associated or involved in politics at all. That means they don't even want to be involved in talking about the state, in eradicating the state. See, what I want to do is eliminate the political process entirely. I hate it just as much as they do. I don't enjoy political discussion. It's stupid. It's boring. It's evil. And I know the people like us are getting screwed. But I want to help people. I want to end that. I know that it's just hanging on by the thread of a very faulted ideology, a very flawed ideology. Because I believe it's the right thing to do. Because I believe people should know the truth. And when they know the truth, they shouldn't block it out. They shouldn't hide from it. They shouldn't ignore it. Just because it's an uncomfortable truth or it's taboo or whatever. Just because it's something that you don't talk about at the dinner table. Look, there's certain people in this world that don't enjoy sex. Very few. But there are some people in this world that don't enjoy sex. And that's fine with me. If they don't want to, it's sad. But if that's a choice they've made, if they don't want to have sex, if they don't enjoy sex, that's fine with me. But when there's a serial rapist on the loose, and he's coming after you, he's coming after me, he's coming after everyone. Or maybe there's a horde of rapists. I want to protect people from this aggressor, from this rapist. I want people to know that he's coming so that they can protect themselves. I want them to know how to protect themselves. But the asexual, since the asexual doesn't enjoy sex, it seems that they would have even more incentive to be anti-rapist. But the asexual instead joins the side of the rapist, goes along with the rapist in some kind of Stockholm syndrome twisted and the asexual then proceeds to help the rapist to find more rape victims. Or to give the rapist money to live off of, because, what do you know, raping isn't a job that has a monetary reward in the market. There's nobody really out there looking for that in the market. Kind of like the state. You know it's a legitimate service when you gladly pay for it. When you're forced to pay for it, that's not a legitimate service. Do you see the analogy that I'm trying to draw here? You see the comparison I'm trying to make? See, that rapist is gonna rape, no matter what you do. You can help him or you can hurt him. That horde of rapists, they're just gonna keep on doing what they're doing until there's enough people to stop them. Until there's enough people that stop willingly giving themselves up. I'm not a political person. I don't care about politics. Politics are boring. Politics are corrupt. It's just a asinine dog and pony show, all wrapped up in bureaucratic red tape and lies. Lies upon lies upon lies. I don't care about any of that. I care about human liberty. I care about the individuals, the people that I know. I love them. I want the best for them. I want the best for their families. I want to stop seeing people in pain. And I'm not saying that, obviously I don't believe in some utopian society. I don't believe that we'll have a voluntary society, an anarchist society, and then all of a sudden there's just pure peace and harmony among mankind. That's not what I'm saying. But I see so many afflictions that are caused by the state. It isn't the only evil in the world, but it is a great evil. And the difference is, most people recognize other evils. And they don't have a problem being against them. So why can't we change that for the state and being against statist ideology? Being a voluntarist, calling yourself an anarchist, that doesn't mean that you go out campaigning politically or get involved in political debates or even learn about the legislative process or the way the government works. No. That just means you are a free and independent human being. You want to live your life the way you want to live it. You want to serve your family and your community the way you want to do it. The way you see best. And this has all been a little different. The show has been different than what I've had on here before and different than what I want to have on here in the future. I like to present information that people will learn from, and I know that you probably haven't learned anything from this. But it's just a topic that I wanted to talk about because when most people I know see somebody talking about libertarian philosophy, about human liberty, they associate that person with those other people that they see, with their yard signs campaigning for Hillary or Bush or Mitt Romney or whoever, and having ridiculous, asinine debates about politics. And it's boring and it's annoying. But I want people to see the difference between politics and libertarianism. How can we define that more clearly? So that's the thought I'd like to leave you with today. How can we distance ourselves from the state even further? I know it's crazy to think about, that we have to even think about it. I mean, we are anarchists and all. But how do we distance ourselves from politics? When I'm talking about anti-state philosophy, how do I prevent people from thinking that I'm just another political person droning on about politics? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the political guy. That's not what I'm about. And it's something we should keep in our minds. Because people that haven't come to the same realizations that we have, people that haven't educated themselves as much as most voluntarists have, they don't understand these things. They don't understand the difference. So we have to be careful. We have to make sure the line is drawn firmly. That being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. This is Journey of the Unshackled Mind.